Wood is widely considered to be the most durable material for construction. In fact, over 25 billion square feet of wood is used every year in new home construction in the U.S. Every piece of high-quality wood first starts out as a tree. For a tree to become a board that we're going to use in a new home construction, it has to go through a mill. We're at the world's largest cedar mill. This belongs to Interfor and is based in British Columbia. Steve CROMBIE is the Director of Public Affairs and Communication for Interfor's Hammond Cedar Mill. Steve, I see the logs coming in off the river, and then they go into the plant. What happens next?
Well, they come in off the river, they're loaded up into the mill, they go through a debarker that strips all the bark off of them. Then they go down a main line that they're sawn into different lengths and different sizes, and then they go for resawing, where more finished products are created, and then they finally go for an end purpose, which could be the creation of very fine-grained cedar siding. Some raw lumber can be shipped off to other plants for further processing. So they're pretty much turned from logs into lumber into product.
Your product says certified sustainable. Tell me about that. What does that really mean?
Well, it means that the products have been obtained from certified forest operations. All of our forestry operations are certified to world standards. Our mills are certified. So it just means that we're taking sound forest practices in the woods, harvesting the timber, and then putting them through mills and creating certified sustainable products. So it means that the consumer, when they're buying the products, they can be assured that the product they're getting is coming from an environmentally friendly source. It's a renewable resource. We have among the highest standards of any company in any jurisdiction in the world.
But it looks like financially, the only way it really makes sense to harvest the lumber is to go back and replant it and continue that process where you always have a supply chain.
That's correct. We'd be out of business if we didn't do that. And plus, it's the right thing to do. We at Interfor plant on average 3 trees for every tree we take. We plant on average 3 million trees a year.
In keeping with its environmentally friendly policy, Interfor, like many other lumber companies, also maximizes every piece of wood at the mill so that nothing is wasted. Dr. Patrick Moore was one of the original co-founders of Greenpeace and is known as the sensible environmentalist. In a mill like this, you saw a lot of wood, so there's a lot of pieces that are a little short, a little different than what you normally use, a lot of what people would call scrap. How do you get the most out of that material and get to use it?
Well, the fact is there isn't a scrap wasted in this mill. From the very highest quality clear red cedar lumber to this more low quality strapping here that you see, then you go down to the lath and to the short pieces that are made to go in between the wood when they're put in the dryer. And then you have the real scraps and the bark left over that either goes to be burned for energy to dry the wood or as mulch for gardens. So there isn't a scrap comes out of here, everything is used.
So every tree that comes in this plant is going to be used up.
That's right, every speck of it.
And I understand you're going to take me out today and show me the proper way to actually manage a forest while you're cutting down timber.
That's right, this wood has come from really sustainably managed forests. We have moved in a 10-year period in BC from black to white. It's just incredible how different our practices are today, and you'll see that out in the field.
Great.
Don't go away. Michael journeys to the forests of British Columbia to see sustainable forestry at work when your new house returns.
The forests of British Columbia are a sight to behold. In order to obtain wood, forests have to be logged. For years, there have been concerns about logging's impact on the environment. Patrick, why should we build homes out of wood when there's all these new technologies for building homes?
Well, the fact is wood is really the only building material that is renewable. And not only that, it's by far the most abundant renewable material in the world. Along with that, wood takes less energy to produce. When you make steel and concrete, you need a lot of energy, usually in the form of fossil fuels, high greenhouse gas emissions, whereas wood is made in the forest with renewable solar power. And you put those two things together, the fact that wood is renewable and takes less energy to make, it is the most environmentally friendly building material in the world.
Patrick, everybody's heard about sustainable forestry, but no one really knows what it means. So help us out here. What does it mean?
Sustainable forestry means going beyond just growing trees. It means considering all of the species that live in the forest, birds, insects, all the wildlife. So sustainable forestry, I like to say, is about maintaining the forest in such a state that there's suitable habitat for all the species that live in it somewhere all of the time. It doesn't mean you don't cut trees. This area here has had a lot of trees cut in it, but we've done it in such a way as to maintain suitable habitat for most of the species. And as this forest grows back up again, the different species that require the different stages of growth will come back into it again. Meanwhile, we'll be cutting another one somewhere else. So by maintaining a kind of mosaic of all different age classes with trees retained in the cut blocks, you maintain suitable habitat for everything in that forest.
Less than a decade ago, trees in this area were cut, others left, and new trees were planted. Jeff Fisher, an area forester with Interfor, oversaw this effort. How long ago did you pick which trees were staying and which trees were going to be harvested?
We're out here making the plan probably in about May. We did the logging in June, and it was replanted on July the 1st.
Okay, and there's a lot of big trees still left. I mean, look at this behind us. I don't know what kind of tree that is, but it's huge. Well, now, what makes you choose to go ahead and leave that tree?
Okay, when we're prescribing retention, which is leaving of trees, we look at the stand that we're about to harvest, and we try and keep some representation from all the species and sizes of trees which are in the stand before harvesting. As well, we look for certain trees which may be of value to certain things. For instance, around here, black bears build their dens in the hollow butts of large cedar trees. So in this block, there was a prescription to leave at least 2 big cedar trees per hectare, which would be about 1 per acre. So the fallers had to find 1 big cedar tree every so often and leave that one. Even though it may have been highly valuable from a timber point of view, it's highly valuable to wildlife.
Another aspect of sustainable forestry is having a low impact on the environment. Helicopter logging is a step in that direction. Loggers are transported up the mountains via a small support helicopter. Trees are then cut, and later a heavy-duty helicopter grapples the fallen logs together and ferries them down to lower elevations. Patrick, tell me some of the advantages of logging with helicopters.
Well, Michael, the beauty of helicopter logging is you don't need to punch roads up these steep, rocky hillsides. It's much more environmentally friendly in that way, because the road is really the most environmental impact of doing logging in country like this. Whereas with helicopters, you can take small patches of good timber, and the helicopter just goes up onto the hillside, picks up the logs, and brings them down to a lower landing by the road where they can be trucked out.
So you're not taking all the timber off the hill, just patches, you're saying?
No, actually what you see here is finished. There's a small patch up here and another patch over here, and that's it for this pass.
Well, I can't believe you're finished, because it's breathtaking to look at. It doesn't look like it's been logged. So
well, we've really changed the way we do logging over the last 10 years or so. We've gone from focusing on fairly large areas where you'd clear a large area, traditionally called a clear cut. Today we don't do that so much. If we do, it's very small areas, and usually now patches of trees will be left in openings in order to provide some habitat for wildlife and birds right in the middle of the logging area.
It's a spectacular view.
Yeah, it's about as nice as it gets.
Through sustainable forestry, Interfor and other wood companies are attempting to create a better future. Patrick, what's the future of sustainable forest here in the British Columbia area?
Well, the future for our forest is very bright, Michael, because not only are we replanting all the areas that we logged with the same species of trees that were there in the first place, but we're growing timber now faster than we're harvesting it. Besides which, over half of British Columbia's forested land will never be touched. It's all either in parks and wilderness or in high alpine forests that won't be logged. So we have a really good balance here, a balance of environment and economy, where we are using our forests to make a living and to make our economy alive, and at the same time we're maintaining the environment so that wildlife and people can enjoy this area as well.